Hey guys, welcome to the show.
Did they score?
Did they score?
No, they almost did.
4th and 3. Now it's 1st and goal. Hey, everybody! It's Oxidize. We are sort of recording this at an interesting time for us. We typically don't do this on a Sunday afternoon. So if you've listened at all for the past few weeks, you probably understand that we do have the Cleveland Browns and Washington Commanders on screen right now. And it's not going great. Currently 10-3. There will be
we're losing to the
scoring
most.
updates.
We're losing to the most shit team in the NFL.
It's actually not
Okay,
true.
that
They're
was
3-1.
mildly aggressive.
By the way, they are 3-1, and they have right now the hottest quarterback in the entire league. So, what last
Who?
year?
Who?
The Washington Commanders.
No,
he's a
who
rook.
do they have?
Jaden Daniels is his quarterback's name, and he's just lighting it up.
Bro, I
But,
ain't even got my boy in there right now.
Who's your boy?
The team so on Sleeper you can put in a team name, right, for your fantasy team.
Okay.
Oh, I don't need more fantasy talk.
What is Sleeper? On Sleeper, what is Sleeper?
It's just the app.
Oh, okay.
It's the fantasy app that we use.
All right.
But my team name is my ball Zach Ertz.
That's so funny. You're
Um,
such a. You're
and
such
I don't
an
even have
adult,
Zach.
Adam.
Wow, you're
I
so
don't even-
edgy.
You're such an adult.
Yeah, you
I don't
are
even-
an adult.
Can I talk?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
I don't even have Zach out of the bench. I have him. I did not get him in my team originally, but I have him now, and I don't even have him on the out of the bench.
Touchdown Commanders 16-3.
Why does Amon St. Brown have another bye week? He had one last week.
He didn't. They only
Yeah.
have one.
What? No, he had one last week. He was out last week.
Well, maybe he was injured. You only get one bye week.
It said bye next to his name.
Well, maybe we're going to say bye to you as a
All right.
co-host if you keep
Bye,
this
bye,
up.
bye, bye, bye.
I'm gonna lose this week, and I know this.
What's your record right now? We're talking fantasy, folks. What's your
4-0.
4-0. I mean, that's phenomenal. It's early, dude. It's only the 1 o'clock games going on right now. You got plenty of time.
I have an 18% chance to win this
Okay,
week.
we're done talking about fantasy football.
17-3 Commanders.
So
Let's
we're
go
done
into the
with
show.
that.
What are we talking about today?
Except
Hey, does anybody know what month it is by chance?
Spooky season.
Let's
the month of
go.
October.
Spooky season is finally upon
no,
us. God,
spooky
September.
season has been upon us since
July
literally
5th,
July
right?
5th.
I get it. But was September not the longest
Are you drinking
month
titty milk, Adam?
in the history of months?
I am.
Okay. Sorry. September was
That's
such
awesome.
a long month.
It was so long, dude.
It was so
I was just thinking of-
long.
I was
It
just
really
thinking
was.
about that
Thank you.
today. I was driving home from church, and I was like, why does it feel like so long since we did the boys' night episode? It's been like 2 weeks since that, but it has felt so much longer. Like September was just really drawn out, I
It's
think.
been 3 weeks, dude.
Has it?
Yeah, because we
Oh,
had your
gosh.
boys' night, and then we had a show, and now we're doing the other show. So, no, I guess that's 2 weeks. Awesome. Good stuff. All right, so it is spooky season. Today we're going to have a conversation, but apparently I've been warned. So before we have the conversation, we're going to let Atlas do a little public service
Ha!
announcement.
Even though it was my
Now you,
idea,
Adam.
even
Me,
though it was
now
my
you-
idea
I've been
to do
saying
the
it since the
PSA.
beginning. I've been saying it. Since
You said the
beginning.
one thing about the word
Doesn't-
So
choice.
okay, so
All right, whoever
We're
his
gonna talk-
idea it was.
we're gonna talk about serial killers and the most interesting serial killers to us. They were trying to use the word favorite, and I'm like, that's totally not what we should be using because
Favorite.
we don't have favorite serial killers
I
because
do.
serial killers are horrible people and they do not deserve to be glorified or treated like anything less than what they are, which are monsters. And our hearts go out to the victims and the families and everyone else because we don't have favorite serial killers. We just have serial killers that we think are the most interesting, even if they are the most awful people on this planet.
I have
Thank
a
you.
favorite.
Over. Dad's a boomer. We don't talk about it. Go on, Dad.
I'm a favorite.
Most interesting.
So my favorite is because I think it is the most interesting, if we're being real honest, as we look at things. So, but who wants to go first with theirs?
I will.
All right, first of all, let's just do the name. Let's see if any of us, because we have not practiced this, we have no idea whose is whose. Let's go ahead and do just a quick round table. All you get to say is the name of your
Most
interesting serial killer / favorite. So,
Not favorite.
favorite. Atlas, go ahead.
Jack the Ripper.
Adam.
Jack the Ripper.
God damn it.
That was
Come
harsh.
on, bro.
Are you serious? You both had
Yeah.
Jack the Ripper?
Yeah, he's really
I'll find a
interesting.
different one.
No. I'll do H.H. Holmes. You do Jack the
that's
Ripper.
good.
All right, guess who
Okay.
mine is. You guys will never guess.
Ted Bundy.
Herbert Baumeister.
Okay, both of those are actually pretty solid choices, but if you
Jeffrey
know me
Dahmer.
at all, what
Jeffrey
is the
Dahmer.
one thing
Jeffrey
that I am
Dahmer.
most afraid of?
Cockroaches.
No.
Bugs.
Fair, but when it comes to Halloween and just the scariness, clowns. I'll give you that.
Oh,
Now,
John Wayne Gacy.
Bingo. Most interesting / favorite.
Not favorite.
So anyway, all right. So there's the three. Well, actually, I guess it was just two: Jack the Ripper, John Wayne Gacy. Those are what we're looking
Also
at.
H.H. Holmes. I'll talk about H.H. Holmes.
And H.H. Holmes, apparently.
I'll
so,
leave Jack the Ripper to Adam.
Yeah, Adam, you go ahead. You were definitely upset that you had the same as Atlas. Give us
I was.
a little bit of a brief rundown of your why Jack the Ripper is deserving of such a esteemed designation as favorite serial killer.
With me and just like the world of spookiness in general, the thing that gets me the most is the unknown about it. For example, the Zodiac Killer. There have been, several not confirmed, but several suspects that have been put out, but it's never been confirmed who the Zodiac Killer was. Same thing with Black Dahlia. It was never confirmed who did it. Same thing with the axe murderer of New Orleans back in the 20s. Never confirmed who it was, but all the original, or at least one of the originals, was Jack the Ripper. There's a reason he's called Jack the Ripper, because they never found out who it was. Jack the Ripper was active from about 1988 to 1991 with 5 canonical deaths spanning in London, England, specifically the Whitechapel and Spitalfields boroughs.
Canonical. What does that even mean?
Canonical.
Confirmed.
Huh?
He has 5, like, canon or canonical is like the true facts of.
Okay.
Think about it like in terms of like comic books or like superhero stuff. Canonically, Deadpool he talks a lot, all this stuff, but then there's like non-canonical things that like there's stories about him that isn't like true head canons, fan fictions, that kind of stuff. It's stuff about the character, but it's not canonical to the actual timeline.
Yeah. Like Great Gatsby. It's canon that Nick Carraway was friends with Gatsby, but headcanon, he was in love with Gatsby.
Interesting. All right. So I guess you're right. Canonical basically says that it is considered authoritative.
So canonically, he has 5 kills. Likely, there's a lot more.
Gravity
just dropped
sucks.
his phone. Yikers!
All right. Please continue. Sorry about that, folks.
In more contemporaneous articles of the time, there were two murderers. Both are not confirmed to be, but pretty much, yeah, this is the guy. The Leather Apron or the Whitechapel murderer, which are both, like I said, not confirmed, but it is widely believed that it is also Jack the Ripper. The name originated in the Dear Boss letter written by an individual claiming to be Jack the Ripper, which was disseminated in the press. The letter is widely believed to have been a hoax.
There's also the From Hell letter.
There is the From Hell letter. It was received by a George Lusk of the Whitechapel Vigilance Committee and came with half of a preserved human kidney. I think, like, another thing is not cool, but another interesting thing about Jack the Ripper is that it's widely believed that he was a doctor or a butcher or a surgeon or somebody skilled with very sharp weaponry and tools because of how precise the murders were. Like, for example,
like the ice truck killer.
Like the ice truck killer from Dexter.
Right? I mean that he was a clinician, right? He was very clinical in how he did stuff. So you're saying that Jack the Ripper was that way?
Yes.
All right, so question, follow up on that. Why would he be called Jack the Ripper? Like, you would think Jack the Ripper's just like left body parts everywhere.
Well, he kind of did.
He kind of
Oh.
did,
He
but
didn't
it was
leave them
like
around, but he.
it wasn't like he just ripped them or whatever. He did leave limbs and whatnot at crime scenes and murders and whatnot. The reason the name is Jack the Ripper is because of how the bodies were dismembered. Like
Oh, okay.
when he killed people and when he sent stuff in, they were dismembered. It wasn't like he didn't leave the whole body for somebody to find. He dismembered them. He cut them up.
Did you talk about who he killed?
No, I was getting there. That was my next thing. Okay.
Get that quick.
The
Hurry up.
five
Alice is like, hurry up.
the canonical 5 victims are Mary Ann Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly. They are known as the canonical 5, and their murders happened between the 31st of August and the 9th of November in 1888. And they are
like who we went after? Don't.
what?
He went after prostitutes.
Yeah, he did that.
Yes.
You don't have to whisper. You didn't have to. I'm getting there. We have an hour show to cover about 3 people.
Yeah, and you're taking
No, we
that
got a
whole
lot
hour.
more than that to talk
You're
about.
taking
But we
that
don't need the whole
whole
hour talking
hour.
about he sometime would wear Nike shoes.
He would walk with his left and right foot. He was left-handed.
Anyway, the canonical 5 were all prostitutes. So
There you go. That took you
was-
so
That's how
long
you
to
did
say.
it. Thank you. That's a good way to get it in there.
Yeah.
Is that your whole?
We've got the prostitutes.
The murders were never solved, and the legends surrounding these crimes, like they literally became folktale. Like Jack the Ripper himself has become a folktale because of this.
Do we think he actually existed?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Now, why is there proof? Why do we say 100% if nobody knows who it ever was? Why couldn't it have been just
Dude,
a bunch of
Did
similar?
Zodiac Killer really exist?
Yeah, but they caught him, didn't they? Just a
No,
couple years ago.
They didn't catch him. He's never been caught.
There was the most like suspected person who was who was suspected to be the Zodiac died 3 years ago.
Got no idea.
42 seconds to go in the first half. Washington 17, Cleveland 3. The Browns have 38 total yards in the first half. Touchdown Washington, by the way.
Speaking of which, just now.
Just now. So it is now 23-3 with the extra point coming.
Yeah. So
it's great.
Brandon texted me today. Sorry, Adam.
Brandon, your Steelers
fan.
Okay.
He said, I haven't watched many Browns games this year, but does Watson just not work on timing? I swear he's just constantly holding the ball and then scrambling to make something happen. And I said,
Wow, why wouldn't you have answered his question? Other than just coughing on him.
I didn't say that.
She did say that, right, Adam? She said,
my
and
God.
I said, cough, 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 cough.
Oh my God. I forgot how to breathe and live. For a second. I said, that's what I've been saying from the beginning. He just doesn't plan. He doesn't trust any other receivers. And then he either gets sacked or runs out the last second only to get tackled again. So, yeah. So that's why
Just
Watson
pathetic.
sucks.
All right, Adam, back to your killer.
Back to the Ripper.
So the Ripper
The
really dug prostitutes.
One
Okay,
of
we're not
the
going to say that.
And he,
one of
What do you-
the main reasons.
that's the fact. You said all he went
He
after
didn't
was
really dig
prostitutes.
prostitutes.
Well, he did in terms of killing people, yes.
In this episode, just forget everything Dad says. All right?
By the way,
All right. He's old.
I'm going to explain a little bit why he was called Jack the Ripper from
Okay.
the first body that was found. And I will say, very big content warning.
Content.
Snowflakes, would you stop it? Just say it.
No,
Don't
we're gonna
list the
need to
whole
say
word Dad
we're gonna need to
said.
say content warning for this because this is gonna be rough. So
It
if
is
you do not
really
want to hear
messed
this,
up.
skip ahead maybe 30 seconds to a minute.
They're going to listen. They're not that worried.
The first victim was Mary Ann Nichols, discovered on the 31st of August in 1888 in what is now known as Durward Street in Whitechapel.
This was London, right? Wasn't
This
he
is
a
it.
London guy?
This is in
Yeah.
London, yes.
Okay.
Whitechapel is one of the districts of London.
All right.
Her throat was severed by 2 deep cuts, one of which completely severed all the tissue down to the vertebrae. So he went for the one of the cuts was in her neck all the way down to the back to her others near the spine. Her vagina had been stabbed twice, and the lower part of her abdomen was partly ripped open by a deep, jagged wound, causing her bowels to protrude. Several other incisions inflicted to both sides of her abdomen had also been caused by the same knife. Each of these wounds had been inflicted in a downward thrusting manner.
Pause.
So he was...
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
You said this dude was clinical.
He was clinical.
He was clean and neat, and it just sounded like, let's field dress a deer.
The murders were not... The murders themselves were not clean. They were left clean. Like, the actual act of the killing itself was not clean. The way the bodies were found.
Okay.
The way the bodies were found were clean, and his trail was clean. So it was somebody that knew, first of all, how to do what he wanted to do and how to get away with it, which is why he's thought to be either a butcher because of how he knew how to deal with the meat, or a surgeon because he knew where to cut and all of that.
So then give me so if they never caught the guy, correct?
Correct.
How do they know his name was even Jack? Was that just the nickname, Jack the Ripper? The whole thing was just made up?
So as we had mentioned, there was a letter. The name Jack the Ripper, I'll go to the thing. The Dear Boss letter was a message allegedly written by the notorious unidentified Victorian serial killer known as Jack the Ripper, addressed to the Central News Agency of London and dated 25th of September 1888. That's unimportant. I'll read the letter. Dear Boss, I keep on hearing the police have caught me, but they won't fix me just yet. I have laughed when they look so clever and talk about being on the right track. That joke about Leather Apron gave me real fits. I am down on whores, and I shan't quit ripping them till I do get buckled. Grand work the last job was. I gave the lady no time to squeal. How can they catch me now? I love my work and want to start again. You will soon hear of me with my funny little games. I saved some of the proper red stuff in a ginger beer bottle over the last job to write with, but it went thick like glue and I can't use it. Red ink is fit enough, I hope, haha. The next job I do, I shall clip the lady's ears off and send to the police officers just for jolly, wouldn't you? Keep this letter back till I do a bit more work, then give it out straight. My knife's so nice and sharp, I want to get to work right away if I get a chance. Good luck, yours truly, Jack the Ripper. Don't mind me giving the trade name. P.S. Wasn't good enough to post this before I got all the red ink off my hands. Curse it. No luck yet. They say I'm a doctor now. Ha ha.
That dude's nuts.
This was a truly sick man. Or woman. Could be a woman.
Not if people go with Jack.
You never know.
Jacqueline?
No.
Okay,
Jacqueline's not going to go after prostitutes.
Okay. Are you done? No offense. Are you done?
Okay, that's mildly aggressive.
I said no offense. So you should
episode.
Yeah. Adam, you're a snowflake.
Okay. Real quick, I just want to read another part from one of the other murders. Annie Chapman was the next body 1 week later after Marianne Nichols. As in the case of Nichols, the throat was severed by 2 deep cuts. Her abdomen had been cut entirely
Content
open.
warning.
Content warning. With a section of the flesh from her stomach being placed upon her left shoulder, and another section of skin and flesh, plus her small intestines, being removed and placed above her right shoulder. Chapman's autopsy also revealed that her uterus and sections of her bladder and vagina had been removed. This is why it's thought that he's a surgeon, because he knew what to look for, he knew where to cut, he knew how to get things out. Also,
weird.
with a lot of the bodies, there's a reason he said that they didn't squeal. He killed them before they noticed he was there.
Yeah.
They were dead before the removing of organs started to happen.
Yeah, it's gross. Not a good guy. I would definitely say, like, in terms of if you talk about just serial killers with people, he definitely comes
Jack
up a
the
lot.
Ripper always comes up.
Correct. Which is interesting because nobody knows who it is, never got caught. I don't even know how they can say it's the canonical, whatever it is, 5 if they never know. Like, I mean,
Because sometimes it's the way that they kill.
so you're
Sometimes
saying
it's
that
what they
the
used to kill.
consistency in what he did with everybody was the same.
Yeah.
All right.
Going back to what you had just said, the reason they knew that the ice truck killer, it was the same guy every time.
True.
Not only was there the MO about it, but each time he killed a new person, he took a different part of that person
That's
and
true.
made. So like it would with the first kill, it was the finger, or he sent the fingers to Dexter.
Right. Exactly. All right. Well, this is a first for the show. So it is now 24-3 Washington. Halftime. Deshaun Watson, 8 for 18, 67 passing yards, a rating of 54.
Deshaun Watson should be literally off the team. Should not.
He's got a new name coming. Deshaun Garbage.
Deshaun Garbage should have already
He's already been
been there.
Here's another new one for the show. We're going to let Atlas go here after A-Dog.
He should be called P. Deshaun.
Because I have to go stir the beef stew.
He has to stir this too.
So that's a new
Okay.
one for the show. So I'm out. Atlas, it's all you, and I'll be back.
He will be back. All right. So today I'm talking about H.H. Holmes. Or, well, okay. His born name was Herman Webster Mudgett, also known as H.H. Holmes, and he was known to be as America's first serial killer. People think that he got some of his inspirations off of Jack the Ripper just because it happened in the same time zone, and it was because it kind of had some stuff to do with it, whatever. The reason that he is so well known is because he committed his murders around the time of the World's Fair in 1893. Which-
That was the first World's Fair, wasn't it?
I don't know if he was the first. It was in Chicago, and it was in the Chicago, and I think that's where the Ferris wheel was introduced.
The first World's Fair was in 1851 in London.
Yeah.
So this was about 30 years later.
Yeah. So Chicago World's Fair. He moved there from, I don't remember where he was born, so I'm gonna look. Oh, New Hampshire. His parents were, I don't know, but I know they put them in a boarding school type thing where the teachers were super, super abusive. And he also was bullied. There was one time where he was bullied that they put him into this like room with a skeleton, like a human skeleton for like a doctor's office, whatever, to scare him. And while he was scared, he also became super interested in it. And then he started being interested in dissections, all that. He graduated from, I don't know if he graduated actually, but I know he went
University
to
of Vermont and University of Michigan.
Okay, so actually this is me now.
I'm just giving the information that you didn't have. I'm sorry.
You mean the information that's...
You said you didn't know. Go ahead.
Well, it doesn't say he graduated from it. It says he
It's-
enrolled there.
Well, it says alma mater, which means that he went there and graduated.
Anyways,
Continue.
he went to University of Michigan in medicine and surgery because he got interested in all that. And he found out about medical cadavers, whatever. And then he would work with his lab professor on stealing dead bodies for the cadavers, whatever. And then he was... Yeah, so he would use them to defraud life insurance companies because you can like show a dead body and be like, give me the money, whatever. So he moved to Chicago, which Yeah, he moved to Chicago around the 1890s or something, and he immediately started on this big, like, I want to say it's not really a hotel. It kind of is a hotel, but it had a pharmacy on the bottom floor, and then I know there were shops on the second floor, and then on the third floor there was rooms. And it was nicknamed the Murder Castle because it was like some places had dead ends, there were like trapdoors, there were crawl spaces, there were like secret rooms, whatever. And that's where he would do the majority of his killing. And he also had a lot of like love interest who he would kill. So I think he had this gas chamber in the basement, and he would put people in there, turn it on and kill them. And then he would take all of the body parts off, like take off all the skin and stuff, and donate the skeletons to universities or medical schools or whatever. So that's what he would do. He also would...
He was in it for the public good.
Funny.
It must have been muted.
Oh, yeah. I muted you.
Sweet, thank you.
He's back. So he would do that. And then, so there's a lot of people that he killed. He would like be in relationships with people, and then he would kill them. And then I think there was this one time this girl was pregnant, whatever, and he was like, I can give you an abortion. Well, he did not do that. He killed her. And then there were also a lot of like insurance companies coming after him because he would like always try to defraud them, all that. And then he I need to check more, but I think he has around like 10 victims. One confirmed because he killed his like assistant. His assistant, Benjamin Pitzel, he killed him. And then he was apprehended in 1894 around, man, I don't know. I think it was in
So why is he the most interesting? Let's get to that instead of just reading.
well, to me it was Jack the Ripper, but that got taken.
So you were forced to make a swerve.
Yeah. Well, H.H. Holmes was America's first serial killer, in quotes. He was heavily inspired by Jack the Ripper. He would kill people at the 1893 World's Fair because he had this big, like, apartment, whatever, like hotel that had a bunch of shops in it, whatever, called his Murder Castle. He would kill people there. Like Sweeney Todd kind of vibes. And it was just really interesting to me. Wow. There was also this book called, oh my gosh, what's it called? I read it. I know I read it for a class. It's called, I think it's called Devil in the White City.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that was one of his names, was the Devil of Whites, or the Devil in the White City.
Yeah, because everything in Chicago was white because they had just rebuilt it. Because at the time that they got chosen to do the World's Fair there, Chicago was a total mess, and it was a really big like meat plant, so it smelled bad and it looked bad. So they called it White City, and then yeah. So the book Devil in the White City talks about the whole thing a lot better than I just talked about it, because I talked about it really badly. And it has both stories from the architect who worked on the World's Fair, and then H.H. Holmes and his life. And it's a pretty good book. But yeah, so that was H.H. Holmes. He got caught because the insurance company found him. He confessed, and then he got hanged in a year that I don't remember. Yep.
Great. All right. It's John Wayne Gacy time. We're moving on. And so I hate clowns, especially scary clowns. There's a movie that Hannah, the Queen of Spooky Season, and Carly
Terrifier.
Yes.
I want to see
Speaking
that
of-
movie.
So
I
have either
wanted-
of you seen a Terrifier at all?
No,
I've
I
seen the
really want to see
I
it.
saw the first one in Outer Banks with Ren, Faith, Lexi, Caitlin, and I think Alyssa was there too.
Isn't it Alyssa?
Mhm.
Oh, your friend Alyssa. That's right. That's right, Atlas. I forgot about that. But isn't that like extremely violent and like grotesque?
Yeah.
Oh, it's awful. It's horrible.
I think in the first one, spoiler alert, the main character's friend is chained upside down in like a
Content
starfish-
warning.
Content warning is chained upside down in a starfish pattern, or in like a starfish pose, and he takes a hacksaw and saws through her entire body.
A hacksaw?
Yeah,
Like the kind that you have to grind back and forth on?
yeah, it has the saw band and then the metal that like comes
Yeah.
around kind of like in a
Mhm.
square.
Ugh. Anyway, I heard they're awful, but I heard apparently that's all the rage right
And the
now.
clown
Oh.
doesn't even talk. There are 2 movies. I've seen a scene from the second one. Content warning. Really big content warning. Oh my God. Where he skins this teenage girl and she's barely alive when he skins her. And then he pours
God.
like alcohol on it to
He
burn
pours
her.
bleach on her.
Bleach on it. And then
Oh,
his
so this
mom,
is
and then the
awful.
mom comes home and finds his daughter and finds her daughter. Like, and the clown doesn't even say any words in the movie.
Yep, Art the Clown.
All right. So anyway,
Real quick,
as
fun
I was-
fact.
yeah.
Actually, 2 fun facts. The I don't know if it's confirmed on the 3rd album, but sometime during the month of October, Ice Nine Kills is going to release a Terrifier song. A song about Terrifier. Which, guys, you know I love Ice Nine Kills, and you know they do horror
Oh,
stuff.
really?
You
I
do?
had no
The second-
idea.
Never heard of him.
The second fun fact, Terrifier 2 is actually Spencer Charnas, who is the lead singer of Ice Nine Kills. It's his favorite horror movie, or his favorite like new school horror movie.
Interesting.
Cool.
All right. So back to the clown thing. So John Wayne Gacy played a clown. Like that was his
For
Like,
kids' birthday party.
That was his
yeah,
job.
he did a lot of kids' birthday parties. His job was basically get hired in as a clown. Anyway, he became known as the Killer Clown just based off of what he did. Now, interestingly enough, Atlas, I think you said that your boy, good old Herman, was in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So John Wayne Gacy also right outside Chicago. So there must be something.
Shout out to Chicago.
Something about the Windy City that just blows in breezes of serial killers.
It's the
apparently.
pizza, dude. That pizza makes anyone want to kill.
Fair. So anyway, John Wayne Gacy. Here's the interesting thing about Gacy. Did you guys know he was married twice?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Ted Bundy
know
was
that.
married.
So he's got 2 kids, or had. Actually, probably still does. He was. So the interesting thing is his killing spree, we'll call it, didn't start until 1972, which coincidentally happens to be the same year he married Carol Hoff. And they were married for 4 years. He started killing in 72, and they were married for 4 years. All the while, he was killing folks, which is insane. And the
Yeah.
dude had several, it's clearly he had several issues, but his number that is factually inaccurate is 33 kills. So murder, he had 33 counts of that. He was charged with sodomy in Iowa, and then deviant sexual assault, indecent liberties with a child, and murder in Illinois. So he was active from 72 to 78, both in Illinois and Iowa, and he was caught December 21st. Alice,
Shout out.
birthday 1978, December 21st. Atlas was not born in 1978 for the record.
Yes, I was.
Except you
Welcome
weren't,
back, John
because
Wayne
I would have been
Gacy.
5 and that would have been weird.
Welcome back, John
Although-
Wayne Gacy.
Yeah. So he was
So would mom, right?
he was dead by lethal injection. He was killed at the correction center he was in Illinois, which
Wait,
is all
I-
kind of interesting stuff. But here's the thing. He lived in a ranch style house. He killed 26 people. That's not true. He killed 30 plus, but 26 of them were buried in his crawl space.
I have a question for you.
So I'm sure his house smelled real good. Atlas, question.
Do you
go.
know what his last meal was?
Dude, I was just gonna do this.
It's a great question. I don't know what his last meal was.
I know it was a bucket of KFC. It was,
I
it was
have
a
it
bucket of
pulled up.
KFC. I think it was a bowl of strawberries,
It was a pound of strawberries.
a pound of strawberries, a bucket of KFC chicken. Wasn't it shrimp and fries?
It was 12 deep fried shrimp, a bucket of original recipe chicken from KFC, French fries, and a pound of strawberries.
Yep. Shout out Shane Dawson for giving me that fact.
He wasn't real healthy, apparently.
Well, that
He was
was
a
his
large
last
man.
meal, dude. That was his last meal.
Yeah, he was kind of a large dude. But anyway, you know what it is? The why I would find him as my most interesting, almost said the F word, why he's my favorite is
Most interesting.
is how do you possibly here's why people love serial killers, and I think we even talked about this a little bit on one of the previous episodes, but if you think about the whole deal, it's like, how in the world does someone get to that spot where when they're doing it, they don't even like question the fact that this may not be like totally normal, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the Dahmer episodes on Netflix were
Yes.
The short
oh my
series,
god, I was just about to talk about that. They were
outstanding.
so good. Did you know that director made another he made another series about the Menendez twins?
You know what? I didn't know it was the same director, but just
It
this
is.
week I was reading about everything on this Netflix show
I
about
wanna
the
watch
Menendez
it.
brothers and how
Um,
great it is.
Yeah, the thing about that series is every single episode is a different point of view. So one episode has the point of
Are
view.
you talking
of
about the Menendez now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Every episode, so one episode has the point of view of what the media thought. So it shows, so it makes you think the way the media thought. One is like, I haven't seen it. I need to see it. But I was at work and they were talking about it. So continue about John Wayne Gacy.
No, that was basically it that I had on John Wayne. Like the reason that I think he was so interesting is, and all these guys do it, right? They're,
Yeah.
Dahmer wasn't married, but if you look at a lot of them, like Bundy was kind of a playboy.
He was married too. He had kids. He, had
He
a wife
was
and
married,
kids.
right? Bundy was married.
Yeah.
So these guys that go out and they do this stuff, like it's just normal life. Like, oh, I have a side hobby, right? Oh, I got a side hustle. Right today, it's like, well, what is your
Herbert
side hustle?
Baumeister?
And they're like, oh, I'm a Uber driver or I DoorDash. And in those guys' worlds, it's like, oh, what's your side hustle? I kill people. And for Dahmer's, I eat them. Like that was the side hustle. It is crazy. That's why they call it crazy, right? That's why these guys are not mentally right. But how does that happen?
That's-
Nature, nurture.
Yeah.
So if you saw the Dahmer series, Adam, have you seen the Dahmer series?
The one with Evan Peters?
Yeah.
I have not.
You need to watch it.
You need to watch it. That's an important part.
I saw was it a movie with Ross Lynch, My Friend Dahmer?
My Friend Dahmer, yeah, that.
My Friend Dahmer
but
was
it doesn't
also
really
good.
Show like a lot,
Yeah, it was.
Um,
I felt like My Friend Dahmer was kind of a money grab.
It's a lot more him when he was in high school, which is when not really anything happened.
Although I would think that there was some of that is why he became what he became.
Oh, for
Like
sure.
his dad, there's a parallel, and I often wonder, the guy that wrote Dexter, his name's escaping me now, Jeff somebody that created Dexter. His whole thing was like his dad realized early on, right, that there was part
Mhm.
of an issue, and he tried to direct him in a different direction.
Jeff Lindsay.
Jeff Lindsay, thank you. Dahmer's dad did the same thing. Like he knew Dahmer had issues, and he was like, well, here, what you need to do basically, son, is learn how to, take these dead animals that you're killing and dissect them and learn from it, or something, something like that. They go through that in the whole Dahmer deal, but
Mhm.
it's just, dude's unbelievable. And I don't mean that in a good way. Like, how can you do what he does and think this is okay?
Yeah.
That's why serial killers will always have a special place in people that love spooky season's heart. And I know that sounds weird because we are talking about serial killers and all of that, but it's just It's just not natural.
It's interesting. It's so interesting.
It is interesting
That's-
because we think this way, they think that way, and there's no way that we'll ever be like, oh, well, totally, I get it. Right?
That's,
I mean,
that's
that's-
the big debate in the psychology world, nature versus nurture, and which one fixes.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's both, sometimes it's neither. For Dahmer, it was probably more nurture than it was nature, but for other people, it could be more nature and vice versa, or it could be none of them, and it could just be a chemical imbalance in your brain.
I would definitely think that in all of those cases, nature is part of it, right? I think the nurture is potentially part of it, but definitely nature is kind of what drives that. So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting stuff. I think, and in fact, last year, I think we've talked about this on the air, but I forget. But I've taken a sabbatical. Every 5 years, the company I work for gives me a sabbatical. So I get 30 days off, and it's outstanding. Thank you, company that I work for. And basically, what happened was we went out east and spent a month going down the East Coast, and we stopped at Salem, Mass. And the whole Salem witch trials deal was incredible. So one of these weeks here in October, we're definitely going to have that conversation about the Salem witch trials and how that works. And there we go. So for the record, the Browns had a 1st and goal. And
This is so embarrassing. Did you
they've
see what
now-
Deshaun Watson just did?
he threw it to Chicago from Washington.
He had an open spot. He
Yeah.
waited so long to throw it that
Yeah.
he started running and he threw it when he couldn't even aim because that's
Yeah.
his problem. Because he waits so. I need to text Brandon.
I mean, it's not even close. Oh, it's so bad. But anyway, who were we talking about? Dahmer?
Gacy, Dahmer. We were talking about nature, nurture.
Yeah,
we were
nature,
talking-
nurture,
yeah.
just serial killers in general. I think, if you go back to it, that's the reason that people are just like, "This is
Salem,
crazy."
Massachusetts.
Okay. Yeah, Salem, Mass. Thank you. Yeah. So we were in Salem. It's great. We're going to talk about the Salem witch trials one of these weeks. We've got a couple. Let's see. So we've got, what do we have? 1 or 2 more episodes.
I think we should talk about medieval torture devices in one, or just like torture in general, or like mass hysteria or stuff like that.
We can. Well, that definitely would tie in with the whole the witch
Salem.
trial deal.
Yeah,
So I think maybe that's what we do.
like medieval.
Yeah. At least the whole because it was the witch trial thing was amazing, and we had an opportunity to go through the Salem Witch Trial Museum and just learn about it. And the funny thing is, they weren't witches; they were just little bitches. That's the fact. Like that whole thing.
We're not gonna say that they were not little bitches. They were just women, and men didn't like that. Okay. And I'm not going to turn back his mic on because what he just said, he got his talking privileges taken away. He's going to be burned at the stake as we speak. He's actually being picked up right now. And now he's watching the Browns game again. He has no idea.
24-6. The Browns just did kick a field goal, and also
Dustin Hopkins should get all of Deshaun Watson.
we need to get rid of Deshaun Watson. That's all there is
That's
to it. I don't
what
care
I've
how
been
much we
saying,
spend.
bro.
I don't care. It was $260 million guaranteed contract. It's the worst contract in pro football history. You guys have been listening to us now for 6 months, 5 months, whatever the number is. What is the number? Anybody? Bueller?
Too many
Bueller?
months.
6, 7? Adam?
I don't know.
Till
So how long they've been listening to us? When did we start?
When
March.
did we start?
March. All right, so we're at 6,
Yeah,
7,
March
almost 7
3rd.
months. So we're at 7 months. Here's the reality. I've never been more fired up than I am right now because these Browns are so freaking bad. They're awful. Anyway, serial killers, we talked about that. We hit on John Wayne Gacy. Oh, one quick update. And what I was trying to get to is, Adam, we've had how many shows since yours? This will be show number 2. So we have one more show before we get to Cocktails and Conversation.
Do we have one
Right?
or do we have 2? Because this is
One.
the first. Well, this is the 1st of October.
I know, but yours wasn't the last of September. So I think what we were doing was
Oh, we'll
3
do every-
oxidized, one Delio.
Were we?
So-
I thought we were doing. I thought the plan was just for at the end of the month, the last one of the month.
The
to
last
do
week of the
that.
month. Yeah, that's fine. Whatever we want to do.
I don't care.
I don't care.
This could be an off-show conversation too.
Well, it could be, but we don't do a lot of those.
That's true.
We did a little bit of off-show conversation before we got started, but that was just because we were figuring out the whole serial killer bit.
And
which,
also, I was on the verge
interestingly
of
enough,
punching someone in the mouth.
You had the same, and we're going to get to that, Alice. That's coming. So we had the same. Two of the three had the same exact serial killer, which kind of hurt the show. So we probably should have prepped that one ahead of time, and we didn't. But anyway, so Cocktails and Conversation is coming here in the next couple of weeks, and so it's kind of like boys' night, except it's adult couples' night. So it'll be me and returning recurring guest from week 1 or season 1, Natalie. And then we're also going to be joined by John and Liz. Liz is a high-profile attorney from California. Her and Natalie knew each other from Pepperdine University, where they finished law school together. So there's a connection there, which is kind of fun. And they both now live in the same city, which is super interesting, considering they were way out in Malibu, California, and now, boom, here they are. So that's kind of fun. And then we'll also have John, who does a whole bunch of stuff. Super smart guy. Went to Columbia in New York City. Went to South Carolina, and that's where he got his master's degree. He does a lot of property management stuff, and we'll talk about all that. So Cocktails and Conversations here coming in a couple of weeks. That's going to be fun. Atlas, and then the month after, when we get to November, you'll get your little shindig. The deep sigh tells me you still don't know what the heck you're going to do in your shindig. Is that true or false?
Oh my God, dude. No idea. Because I just don't do a lot, man. I'm boring. I'm a boring human being.
Well, so, I mean, I don't even know what to say. You're not a boring human being. I would definitely disagree with that. You're a boring human being. And let's get a little insight into, so a boring human being, when I think about that, is somebody that walks through life, no passion, just blah, 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 goes along.
So I'm just kidding.
When you got here, before we went on the air, and before we saw that the Browns were going to suck ass as bad as they are today.
I had a dream that they lost.
You dreamt correctly. But when you came in, you were filled with piss and vinegar, and the F-bomb was being dropped, and there was a whole lot of stuff going on. And it all came down to a hand signal. And if you are listening right now, what I would have you do is take your hand and outstretch all 5 of your fingers, 4 fingers and a thumb, but outstretch them really big. Okay, so you've got those. Then take the middle 2.
So the middle finger and the ring finger.
Thank you. That's better, because when you have 5, there is no middle 2. So take your middle finger, which most of you are probably familiar with in some capacity, and your ring finger, which some of you are and are not. Leah will be soon enough familiar with what the ring finger means. So what you do is you take the middle and the ring and you bend those in. And what you're left with is a pinky, a pointer, and a thumb.
Spider-Man.
So you got Spider-Man.
Love you in sign language.
I love you. You have 1980s rock bands where that was the whole thing.
But what you don't have is a gang sign. Okay, right? I did a project for school, right? And my group and we put a picture of us, and I was doing that because I don't know how to pose for pictures. But my teacher was like, maybe no gang signs. Girl, I'm so sorry. That's not a gang sign. That is not a gang sign. Wake your white man butt up, because that's not a gang sign. Literally, you're old. You grew up in the 80s. You should know that that is not a gang sign. I will do an actual gang sign, and I will show you the difference, because there is a difference, and that pisses me off so bad, because you don't know what a gang sign is because you're old and you're white and you live in Westfield, Indiana.
But you are the same person that wanted a PSA about our conversation. You wanted to make sure we didn't say we had a favorite serial killer.
Because there's a difference. There's a difference.
This whole snowflake culture starts with your and Adam's generation. That's where it starts.
Okay. So Okay, so this
Is
whole
this-
snowflake thing pisses me off.
Is this
Because
about-
literally-
Why are we what?
In
Hold on, let Adam speak here for a minute.
why is this a conversation we need to have on the show?
Because I think it's important.
yeah,
Because the reality of the situation is there are things that will not go your way in life, and there are things that will, and that's great. And sometimes you're going to hear something that maybe you don't agree with, but you should be able to share your opinions without this whole little precursor of, blah, 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 content warning. You know who we are. 6 month in.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
Yes. We heard it. Thank you.
Okay.
And it was
Here's
turned
the
down
thing.
on purpose.
Here's
But
the
go
thing.
ahead.
This whole snowflake culture is annoying because, Dad, in your generation, you could call people the R word, the F slur, the N word sometimes.
No,
You-
false. That is,
Let me
and
talk.
do not
Let me
mute
talk.
me right
Let me
now,
talk. Let me talk.
because
Let
I
me
feel
talk.
like we're in
Let
a
me talk.
debate.
Let me talk. Let me talk. You need to let me talk. All right?
You get like 30 seconds.
You need to let me talk because you guys would say the R word and the F slur. Doesn't matter if you said the N word. You probably
the
didn't.
F slur.
But the
What
difference
is the
is
F slur?
the gay
F
F
slur-
slur.
Oh,
FAG. You cannot say that because there is a difference because we have grown up and we have become so much more educated and so much smarter because we do not say that anymore because we care and we focus on other minorities because in your generation
other minorities?
you didn't,
You are not a minority.
in your generation you didn't care about
Hey.
gay people, you didn't care about people who had mental disabilities, and that's the difference. It's not that you didn't care about them, you just
What are you
weren't
talking
educated.
about? We didn't
And
care
that's
about
why we
people with
aren't
mental
snowflakes.
disabilities.
Why are
This
we
is
getting
insane.
heated on the podcast?
We aren't
Because people will listen because we're being real and honest, and that's what we said we were
aren't-
gonna be.
we aren't snowflakes just because we choose to not be as
Treat people as if you want to be treated.
so.
That's all you got to
That's
do.
what I'm saying. That's why we
Okay.
do that. That's why we don't say the F slur. That's why we don't say the R word. That's why we don't use gang signs, whatever. Because
You know
we're
what
not
though?
snowflakes
Language,
just because we want to preserve other people. Because in
language
your
has
generation,
changed over history. Things that were acceptable to say are no longer acceptable to say.
exactly. So you can't call
So
us a
you can't-
snowflake if
but-
we voice that.
All I'm saying is we have to be adult about things.
That's what we're doing. We are being adult because we are
We're not.
focusing on
We're
other people. We are not using those words. And Dad, prove me wrong, but in your generation, mental health wasn't mainstream, right?
well, no.
No, now it is. So now we do need content warnings.
And I'm not saying
because
that
there is
mental
trauma
health is
and
a
there
bad
is-
thing.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing either. I'm not saying you thought it was a bad thing. I'm just saying since it's more mainstream, people are more outward about their opinions and more outward about their voices, which is why we need things like content warnings, which is why we need to let people
But
know
don't you think
that we
we
don't have
also need to have enjoyment and peace in our life? Now, listen, I'm not saying that saying the F slur and saying all these things equates to peace and joyness. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is, don't you think the more we focus on separating people, which is what snowflakeism does, makes it worse? It makes it more pronounced.
snowflakeism.
Then why can't we all just be people?
That's what
who
we're
we
saying.
are.
That's why
Treat people.
derogatory terms aren't okay because we need to treat people that the way they want to be treated. We need to treat people like we're all the same because we are all the same. And that's why derogatory words are not okay. And that is why we are
And that's great
snowflakes
for
about
you.
stuff.
And that's great for you.
because
and I
it's
love that for this
important.
generation. I think it's very important for you people. Here's the thing you don't understand is that if you were my age, there was no snowflakeism and people would let you have it.
But now it's different.
But
because
then-
it's a generation. Because generations
Great.
improve
but
each time,
then
except
we
for
were
Jennifer.
able to fight through it and be resilient. You don't kowtow. You don't bend to all these other things that aren't going to equate to you being who you want to be. If I would have never achieved what I've achieved if I would have listened to any of the BS that I was fed. Period. You've got to learn at some point that you have to fight for yourself and that not count on the rest of the world kowtowing and just being quiet and just letting you do what you do. Sometimes life is about you get out there and you fight and you scrap and you never, ever, ever, ever give up. And that is what makes us America and has always made us great and will make us great in the future, is that we cannot give up. You can't just be like, oh, well, this is okay because of this. You have to fight what you believe in. You may not agree with me, but you have to fight what you believe in, or else we would not be a free country this long into this process. You can hear the heavy breathing from Atlas. You can hear the heavy typing, probably typing to Adam on the other side, who think now I'm a boomer and I've gone off the rails. And maybe I have. But the reality is, you will not achieve what you want to achieve in life if you just expect the world to bend to what you need to hear. Sometimes you got to get at it.
What we're doing, though.
But
because sometimes
what we're doing is a concept of acceptance.
Yeah.
The issue is all of these.
Do you know how many people accepted the fact that I had a humpback when I was in high school?
No one. You got bullied for it.
Okay. And
that's
what
the
did
issue.
I do? I took that.
That's the issue. The issue is that we shouldn't bully people.
And that is
for
what have motivated me to kick all of their asses. And everyone always asks me, have you ever been to a high school reunion? No. Would you ever go to a high, like I'm coming up on my 40th, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. 30th, 35th, whatever. Doesn't matter. People are like, would you go? The answer is absolutely not.
Well, because
I hate those people. However, I respect them because they made me who I am.
Because mental health is so mainstream. Also, I didn't want to bring this up, but I'm gonna bring this up because it's important. School shootings are big, and the big reason is mental health. And mental health is why we are so trying to stop bullying, because now people think they can just solve problems with violence, and they can't. And that's why we are so focused on mental health and on making everyone feel accepted, because if we don't, then there is a genuine problem, because mental health is so important to focus on and is so important to adapt towards, because that's what we're adapting towards. We're adapting towards other people's mental health, because I know that, it's the world, so they have to get through with it. But if they don't, then sometimes they feel like they're alone. And that's why we have things like Suicide Prevention Month. That's why we have things like that, because it's important to talk about mental health, and it is important to focus on mental health, and it is important to try to prevent things like that from happening. And that is why we are such, as you call it, snowflakes, because we just want everyone to feel like they belong.
You know what? Let's be honest for a second. This is the first real conversation we've had in 7 months. It really is.
Yeah, go us.
Like, it is okay to get fired up at each other and talk about what you talk about and why you talk about it. And the thing is, I think when we temper emotions, then you get zombie answers. You get zombie feelings and a zombie truth.
Zombie
And it's just
answers?
like, well, you know what I mean?
Dead
Like,
answers.
it's not,
Answers that don't mean anything. Like if
Thank
somebody
you.
asks you how you are and you just say, "Oh, I'm fine." That's a zombie answer.
correct.
Yeah.
There's depth. There's depth to every human being, but giving them a false answer just to make the conversation go by.
Yeah. This is why I wanted to do a podcast of generations. Because the reality of the situation is, I want what is absolutely the best for everyone in my life. Everyone I meet, I want the best. You guys do too. But it's the way that we think about things. Like, there's so many yin and yang. And I just don't think it has to be that way. I want what's best for everybody. You guys want what's best for everybody. And while we've had different paths to get to where we're at, you can't change the past. That's the reality. So when you guys, and you're accurate to say, words were said, we were younger, that we should not have said. 100% agree. However, you can't change that. We can only change as we go forward. So while I understand what you're saying, Atlas, about the past and what we used to say and how now we're being more inclusive, and I don't even have a problem with that. I 100% would say that is true. But I think that you guys also have to understand that I have adapted to where things are today. But it is so critically important to remember where we were and where we came from. Yes? No?
Yeah. 6:31. We're cooked. That's what I'm gonna say.
What now?
6-31.
I know.
Deshaun.
I know they scored another touchdown. I didn't even talk about it because we were talking about really
Deshaun
important
Sucks
stuff.
Watson is his name. Deshaun Stupid Worm Watson.
Sucks Watson.
It's not good. I also see that now we're over the time.
He got sacked 4 times. 4 times.
The game's not even over.
No, yeah.
So he's been sacked 4 times because he sucks at getting rid of the football.
Because he sucks at football.
Anyway, is next week the Salem witch trial talk?
Yeah.
Sure. Next week is the medieval talk.
Yeah, let's go through all of that because I have some cool stuff and stories from when I was there. And I mean, that's just kind of where we're at.
Brazen Bowl. Dancing Plague.
Yeah, I know.
All that.
Yeah. So we've got a lot to talk about
All
here
of that.
for the next
We have
month.
medieval torture devices. We have just.
Would you agree, Atlas,
all of
that the
them.
Cleveland Browns are a
The worst
medieval
team ever?
torture device?
No, they are because you just keep watching.